Cryptozoology is the study of hidden animals. We're going to delve into folklore today and talk about the myth of the werewolf. Werewolves have been part of European culture for thousands of years. The belief about what they were varied over time and from area to area, so there is no single definitive werewolf belief. Sometimes the transformation was believed to be into an actual wolf, at others into the typical man-wolf hybrid so familiar to modern-day moviegoers. According to the varying beliefs, some werewolves could change at will, others were at a set time like the full moon or a particular time of year, often as the result of some kind of curse. Some changes were even permanent, the person changing into a wolf for the rest of their lives. The idea of a silver bullet being the only way to kill a werewolf seems a largely modern idea. In history, they could be killed by any means. Most of the werewolf accounts in Europe come from the time of what is called the witch craze, that period covering roughly the 15th to 17th centuries when witches were hunted and often killed for their heretical beliefs by the church. Werewolves became linked to witches. As witchcraft was held by the church to be Satanism rather than simply folk superstition, werewolves became part of the whole European-wide satanic network and were therefore persecuted. European culture at that time was divided into what is termed elite and popular cultures, the former being that of the church and the educated, the latter being that of the mass of the uneducated population. As might be expected from a largely illiterate age, most accounts of werewolves come from the former group, the elite. This probably gives a degree of bias to the evidence we have, but it does give at least some idea of the beliefs then present in Europe as a whole. It is interesting that even at the height of the witch craze, the belief in an actual physical metamorphosis appears to have been relatively rare. It was generally held to be a demonic illusion, either on the person who believed himself to be a werewolf or the people seeing him, or both. This was mainly because the church would not allow the devil the power to actually transform matter. One thing that was necessary for werewolf beliefs to be present was the presence of actual wolves. In England, wolves had been exterminated by the 15th century, though it is generally held that the last Scottish wolf was killed in 1680. Werewolves did not therefore form part of the supernatural belief system in England during the witch craze. As real wolves and werewolfism were interlinked, it is most likely that many supposed sightings of werewolves were actually of normal wolves. One of the earliest accounts of werewolfism comes from the ancient Greek historian Herodotus of Halicarnassus, who lived from about 484 to 425 BC. When writing about a group of people called the Nuri of Scythia, roughly modern southern Russia, he wrote, "It seems that these people are conjurers, for both the Scythians and the Greeks who dwell in Scythia say that every Nurian once a year becomes a wolf for a few days, at the end of which time he is restored to his proper shape." In the Satyricon of the Roman Petronius, writing in the 1st century AD, we hear the story of Niceros, who was out walking one night with a friend. After a while they became separated. Niceros, in looking for his friend, found his clothes in a pile. The friend was standing there naked and then turned into a wolf, began howling and then ran off. While perhaps the first fictional story about a werewolf, it shows that werewolfism was alive and well in ancient Rome. A more modern account comes from The Book of Werewolves, 1865, by Sabine Baring-Gould. While researching stone megaliths in France, he found himself at the end of a tiring day at a small hamlet. He tried to hire a wagon, but he was told that nothing was available. When he turned to go, the mayor of the hamlet said, "Monsieur can never go back tonight because of the loup-garou." This is French for werewolf. A peasant added, "Picou tells me they saw the werewolf only this day, its tongue out and its eyes glaring like marsh fires." The mayor went on, "If the loup-garou were only a natural wolf, we should think nothing of it. But it is a fiend, a man-fiend, a worse than man-fiend, a man-wolf fiend." Baring-Gould left anyway, and the event gave him the inspiration to investigate the myths and write the book. There was still then at least some belief in werewolves in Europe, only some 160 years ago. Between these two accounts lie many incidents of werewolfism. One of the most famous is that of Jean Grenier, who lived in southern France and in 1603, when aged about 13, began boasting of being a werewolf. Some children had recently gone missing in the area and there had been several known wolf attacks. One day, Grenier told 3 young female cowherds that he turned into a wolf by means of a wolf skin that had been given to him by a strange man. The girls reported the incident to the local magistrate, and bearing in mind the recent events, Grenier was arrested. He confessed to several attacks and murders. One of the 3 girls had been attacked a few weeks earlier and, though injured, had managed to beat off the wolf. Grenier boasted that he was the one who had attacked her. At the end of the trial, the judges showed clemency, bearing in mind his clearly feeble mental state, and he was sent to a monastery, where he died 7 years later. Not all werewolves were believed to be bad. In 1692, a Livonian named Thies claimed at his witch trial that he was a werewolf, but far from being in league with the devil, actually fought against the witches. He and other werewolves, he said, met 3 times each year and battled with the witches, stealing back the grain, fruit and livestock stolen by them. This case has a striking resemblance to a series of trials in Italy at the end of the 16th and start of the 17th centuries. Here a group called the Benandanti changed into wolves several times a year and fought with the witches to protect the harvest. The church there could not process the idea, and the group was turned via a series of trials into the very group they hated, witches, and was treated accordingly. While few people today would claim to really believe in werewolves, there are rumours that a group of werewolves still exist in the very region of France that Baring Gould found the belief in the 19th century.